The Prince Who Became a Tulip. Once upon a time there was a king who had a son. One day the prince said to his father, "I will set out into the world, and I will not return until I find the most beautiful girl in the world." "Go then," said the king, "and may the fortune be with you." The prince wandered far and wide until he came upon a dark forest. In a thorn bush he heard the desperate cawing of a raven, trapped among the sharp branches. The prince had a kind heart. He freed the raven, and the bird said, "Pull one feather from my wing. If ever you are in trouble, cast it into the air, and I will come at once to help you." The prince kept the feather and went on. Soon he reached a road where he saw a little fish gasping for air in a dried out cart route. The prince pitied the fish, carried it to a nearby pond, and released it. The fish spoke. "Take one of my scales. If ever you are in trouble, throw it into the water, and I will come at once to help you." The prince walked further and met an old man who was weak, thirsty, and hungry. The prince gave him food and drink. The old man said, "Pluck 2 hairs from my head. If ever you are in trouble, let them fly on the wind, and I will come at once to help you." On the 3rd day the prince reached a village. There he heard of an old king with a daughter so beautiful that many had tried to win her hand. But any suitor had to hide 3 times, in such a way that the princess couldn't find him. If even once he succeeded, she would become his bride. "I shall try," thought the princess. He went to the princess, asked for her hand, and she told him of the trial. The first day the prince cast the raven's feather into the air. The ravens came in flocks and carried him to the top of a high mountain. But the princess went straight there, found him easily, and laughed at him. The second day the prince dropped the fish scale into the water. A great fish swam to the shore, and inside its belly the prince hid. But the princess came with a net, caught the fish and the prince, and laughed at him again. On the 3rd day the prince released the old man's 2 hairs into the wind. The old man appeared, touched the prince's jaw, and turned him into a red tulip, which he tucked into his hat. The princess searched and searched, but this time she couldn't find him. By evening she had to declare that she gave up. Then the old man stepped forward, took the tulip from his hat, and placed it in her hands. The princess kissed the flower, and at once it became the prince again. "You are mine, and I'm yours," said the princess, and so they held their wedding feast. The prince had found the most beautiful girl in the world and took her home as his bride.